Do you ever feel like everyone else is winning in their business and you're not? Welcome back to Faith in Focus, the companion podcast to the TSA Weekly podcast, designed specifically for my fellow Christian entrepreneurs. And this is the final episode for season 2. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. It's timely, but it's also a timeless topic in my opinion. But before we dive into this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a tutorial or upload. Okay, so we talked already over on TSA Weekly about just this feeling of failure when you see other people succeeding. We talked about when those other people are your friends, when they're kind of your frenemies, or when they just have values that don't align with yours. And I really want to dive more into that a little bit here because I think it's especially topical when we're on a Christian entrepreneur podcast. So, one of the things that's always been a huge frustration for me is when I see people who are promoting non-biblical values, right? And that could be a lot of things. I'm not going to get into specifics here, but like things that are not just different from my values, but literally go against our values as Christians, as Jesus followers, as all of that, right? So that can be the most frustrating. And honestly, it happens a lot because we live in a broken culture, a broken society. And so, yeah, things that are of this earth are going to be more successful than things that are, heaven focused, kingdom focused, however you say it. I feel like I've used every possible variation of that terminology already in this episode, but makes sense logically. It hurts, it sucks, but it makes sense logically why things that are anti our Christian values, anti our biblical values, are going to be successful here on earth. But does that mean that when you do put your faith and your Christian values either forward or just make them very important in the back end of your business, does that mean you can't be successful? No, absolutely not. There are plenty of people out there who prove that wrong. One of the first people that comes to mind is Candace Bure. I love her podcast, by the way. If you don't follow her on Instagram, aren't listening to her podcast, you're missing out because she's fantastic. But she is bold about her faith. And in an industry where it's hard to be bold about your faith, she is in Hollywood where it's you're not even just pushed to the side. You are a pariah sometimes if you are a faith-forward and godly person. And she has found her place. She has found her success. So she is proof that it is possible. And it's not just her, but she's just the first one that comes to mind. But even if you take that part out of the equation, which to me is a big part of the equation, but let's say you take that out of the equation and it's not about somebody who has different values from you. Maybe it is a friend who might even have similar values, but they seem to be successful where you are not. And this is where I think it's the most challenging, especially for me. Maybe I'm not alone there, but this is what I wanted to really, really focus on here because I think it's just so important for us to remember. And I think this is honestly a life truth, but I think in business, it's important for us to remember that God doesn't call you to experience someone else's journey. He doesn't copy paste callings. He doesn't say that you and you should have the exact same journey and the same success and the same, all of that. We are unique. We are uniquely made and uniquely designed to not only bring our uniqueness to the table, but also to have a unique journey. And what he is doing in someone else's life, regardless of the details, what he is doing in their life does not take away from what he is doing in yours or what he plans to do in yours. This week, the verse that I'm going to tie into the conversation is Ecclesiastes 3:1. This is another really popular verse. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. This aspect of seasons, I think, is so important because every season in your business is important. The successful ones, the less successful ones, and yeah, even the failures. when it's your turn and when it's your time to experience success and to be the one that people are comparing themselves to and hopefully not feeling like failures, but probably, when it's your turn, that's awesome. And there are a lot of things for you to learn and grow through in those seasons. But in the seasons when it's just not your time for success, or maybe it's even a time for failure, it is a time for growth and learning and preparation and making yourself ready in a lot of ways. I mean, not just on the like actual business side, not just the technical stuff, not just the business plan and all of that, but just like preparing your heart, preparing your mindset, preparing your boundaries, preparing yourself to live in that success. Because let me tell you, when you find success, all kinds of new problems arise. It's kind of like a lot of times people have the misconception that when you become a Christian, when you become a Jesus follower, that your life just gets easy, right? And you and I know that that's not the reality. That's not how that works. Sometimes it gets harder. A lot of times it gets harder. And I think it's very similar in business. When you find success, certain things get easier, but other things just crop up that you didn't even expect. So preparing yourself for the fact that success does not mean everything's going to be perfect and rainbows and unicorns, or that you're not going to have any problems or anything like that. Preparing for that mindset wise, but of course, also preparing for the practicalities like boundaries that you're going to set so that your success doesn't take over your life, right? And when it is not your turn to be in that successful season, even if you see somebody else doing it, actually use their success as a way to learn. Look at the things that they run into. If it's a friend, hopefully you'll be talking to them about it. You'll be congratulating them and celebrating with them. And, if you're really close, you can even have some real talk, right? And say, okay, well, now that you've found this level of success, like what problems cropped up that you weren't expecting? How can you prepare yourself to be ready for those things, regardless of what area they fit into, whether they're business details or life details or mindset details or any of those things. Just remember that there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. As I said at the beginning, it's the end of season 2, so I'm going to be taking a little bit of time off from new episodes, but I will be bringing in here some highlights and clips from previous episodes in case you missed any, so make sure that you check those out in the meantime. And I can't wait to see you guys back here in a couple of weeks. God bless. I hope this episode encouraged and inspired you. And if it did, please share it with another Christian business owner that could use the same encouragement. Thanks for being here. God bless you and your business. See you in the next episode.